Hello everybody, you know me. Okay, no you don't, but you know who I am. I am Issa J. I am your Smark Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Champion. And welcome back to Shooting with the Smarky Family, episode 62. We are finally back here, and yeah, it should be an interesting one. We're doing the same thing through Discord like we did last time for WrestleMania, so it might look a bit janky. Apologize for that. But hopefully we get it going pretty good. And as always, next to me is
Liam Landry.
It is Liam Landry.
I was wondering when you were going to introduce me.
Of course I was going to introduce you. Why would I not introduce you?
No, I was scared for a second.
Yeah, I just had to make sure everything was on the up and up. You know, just checking. And it sounds like everything is there. And the audio is working. Just gotta fix the video of it all. Yeah, again, like we said before, it's gonna look a little bit janky because of the situation we're in. Hoping I'll figure out a way to fix all of that soon. But until then, this is what we have to do. And you have to look at the camera for a bit. Again, when I figure out the better way, the better solution, I will do it. But until then, alright, you ready, sir?
I wonder how long it's going to take. Maybe the camera will be more episodes than DJ.
It's possible.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's get this started.
Alright. So how have you been after all this craziness that's been going on?
Fine enough. How about you?
About the same. Yeah. It's definitely been frustrating, but just living every moment as I can, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, let's jump right on into the first segment of our show, which is... Actually, no, I'm already screwing up. We actually are going to do a 5-second moment of silence for the passing of Howard Finkel. He was a ring announcer for many, many years within the WWE. Started when it was the WWF. For a lot of people, he was the voice of their childhood. Not mine, per se. But for a lot of people, he was. So, in remembrance of him and everything he's done in the world of professional wrestling, we're going to do a 5-second moment of silence. So, you ready?
Yes.
Our thoughts and prayers and well wishes are to him and his family in these rough times, especially since these times are even more rougher than normal circumstances. Alrighty, so I think it's time to get this thing started proper, and we started off with bad news, and unfortunately we're going to have to continue with some bad news because a lot of people within the WWE are no longer working for the WWE. Liam, do you want to specify more on that for us?
Yes, of course, in the current times and the setbacks, we have a lot of layoffs / furloughs going around. in the WWE. Of course, another news story we're going to talk about. They have the fact that XFL is falling through. They're going to scramble for some finances for that. They said some employees may have just been furloughed, but of course, in the overarching thing, basically a lot of names have come out. We're not even sure if this is really even all the names, or just all the names so far, because we still get some.
Right. Do you have a list of some of them?
I'm trying to pull up now.
All right. No, the first one. Well, let's talk about one that was not included, or at least two people who were not included in this mass loss of jobs, and that is the Revival. They were actually let go before all of the craziness started to happen, but drat.
Yeah, well, they
looked like
asked for their release a while back, and given their release, should have probably been a precursor, for what was happening. Because obviously they felt more inclined to, I guess partial release, but I think it's also just partial, just not contract extension. I'm not. I don't know if they ever said truly 100% what it was. It may have just been a release because I know they said initially they didn't come to an agreement on the contract. So I don't know if it just ran out or they just released them ahead of time, knowing they weren't going to sign another contract and that they were probably going to release them anyways because of the current layoffs. But did you have more to talk about that?
Yeah, I know that, like you said, they were definitely asking for their release, and it is definitely one of those things where it's a shame that it happened. The way they ended up getting released, especially with how did you hear about the plans that they were trying to do?
Yeah, but are you going? I can't see you.
Hold on.
Now I see you from below.
Yeah, I had to fix something. The one camera I was using was making me look like a ghost, so I had to fix it. Okay.
Now this one just makes you look shiny.
Mm-hmm. Might have to close the blind.
But yeah, the plans apparently were to just basically.
There we go. That's better.
To embarrass them before the release, but lower their stock. I'm sure we'll see more on it later as they do shoot interviews about it, especially to the Jericho podcast. Any more to that, or do you want me to go into the
yeah, we can go into the other list. Yeah, we can jump onto the other list now.
So, for these are at least some of them. Like I said, not all names are necessarily out, and there's also a lot of backstage people who may not even, hear of regularly that are part of this. But this is just kind of a list of wrestlers that have been released. We have Carl Anderson, which was a very early one, and then Luke Gallows, which actually came a lot later. But people thought it was weird it wasn't together because of their tag team status. But we have EC3, Rusev, Leo Rush, Drake Maverick, who has, of course, taken it very difficultly. It's very difficult for him. He was very emotional and upset about this. And definitely expressed out online. We have Heath Slater, Eric Young, Kurt Hawkins, Aiden English, Sarah Logan, Eric Rowan, Mike Canales, Maria Canales, Primo, Epico, Zack Ryder, No Way Jose, and then there's a lot of other people that are more backstage people, producers and stuff that we may have also heard of, like Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle. I also believe it's not in here, but Lance Storm and Fit Finley, I believe, are also both released. Two long-standing guys,
as well as Gregory Helms, and I think his name is Billy Kidman. But no, it's something like that.
And we also had, I'm trying to get the first name right. This was Mike Rotunda, which is the former IRS, and also Wade Barrett's father, real life father. But I can't remember who has the first name Mike Rotunda. I think it is the father has Mike Rotunda. He was also released. We had long-term referee Mike Chioda.
That one was a complete shock because he's been there since before you and I were even born.
I think that was the whole thing where Vince McMahon was like, "Let me get the opinions of the internet wrestling community on there." And he went to Wrestle Talk, and they were hearing that everyone was coming down with the Mike Chioda, and he's like, "Damn it, gotta fire him," because that's Wrestle Talk joke. Instead of saying coronavirus, they say Chioda.
Oh my gosh.
But yes, it's very big in light of that, but it's very sad.
It is.
Because, a lot of people who spend a lot of time their whole lives trying to go for this goal. A lot of people who have family dependent on them. I mean, Heath Slater, he has kids.
Right.
So, we know that. We know he also has kids in real life as well. So, but yeah, so there's a lot of people dependent on that, and they don't necessarily have a escape right now because of how the wrestling community is. So financial problems with some people. Some of the maybe like lower tier wrestlers that don't get a lot of screen time, especially who may have been making a lot less than some of the more weekly mid-card guys, you know. So we hope for the best for them, that the economy kind of bounces back and restabilizes, so that they can go out and find new jobs and actually get out there and start getting paid again and help support their families.
And then also, which is kind of crazy, there was two other names that were on there that happened a little bit later, but not widely talked about. And one of them was Cassius Ohno, where they just put him to the alumni section just quietly. Former Chris Hero. That one is shocking because he's been with them for a few years now, helping. Getting put into feuds with younger talent to help build them up, and the other one was a.
Well, if you want, I just pulled up a one that had that's talking about NXT talent releases.
All right, yeah, do that one because there's one more in NXT that was shocking too.
Yes, well, as we said before, NXT has a large depth of names that we don't really see on the weekly program.
Right.
There's a lot of people here. Muhammad Fahim, sorry if I mispronounced that. I pronounce a lot of these here. Faisal Kurdi, Husan Al-Dagao. Once again, very sorry. Marcos Gomes. Edgar Lopez. What's going on? Was NXT named Rocky. And Cassie Sono. In here, they also don't have maybe even happen later. But I think Tanara Conti,
Mm-hmm.
who's a Brazilian wrestler, has been released as well.
That was the other name because they started showing her on TV a lot more. Because she was a part of both Mae Young Classics, and she's been there since a couple years before then. And they were finally putting her on TV to showcase what she can do, and now she's just gone. And you have to expect that it does not look good for 205 Live whatsoever, or NXT UK, because I will not be surprised if they stop doing things with them, because they have. I don't think they've done a lot of filming in the UK at all since all this has gotten to the point that it has. So it's a hard time when it comes to wrestling in the WWE and most forms of business as a whole. But
Yeah, like, even with the whole UK thing, we don't know the legal ramifications up there.
very true.
Be more expressed in another story we get to after we wrap up this one. But
Right.
yeah, so there could also be more layoffs there, and some that we may have not have even heard yet. It all depends. It's surprising I wasn't even more from NXT, given the vast nature of NXT's roster, where they always seem to be having whole classes come in every month. You see a whole new group of people. There's a lot of people, so.
And the last person, I can't remember her name, but she is the writer for she was the head writer for Mandy Rose and Otis storyline, and she was able to get that. Her work was good enough to get the vast majority of people on board with it, and people were really loving it, especially the people that I was listening to. So it's interesting that they let her go, and that they're still going on with this particular storyline when their main writer of it is gone. So that was always that's something that I thought was interesting. If you want to learn how to run something into the ground by acquiring someone else's work and getting rid of the creator, just pay attention to Otis and Mandy, because that's exactly what's probably going to happen.
Right, of course. So some of the other things specifically about the releases that we want to talk about cover. Did you see the Drake Maverick post?
I didn't see it, but I did hear about it, and a lot of people were like super on board for Drake Maverick. I know that I've seen a still image of it, and where it looked like he was where he broke down and started crying. So I can definitely tell that there was a huge blow for him.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that Rusev was let go, it was before I actually saw the news of all of this, and I was like, oh wow, they let go of Rusev. That's weird. And then when all the names started, and they said like a lot of big names like Eric Rowan, where they had like a bunch of stuff for him this past year. He was in a lot of things. The Good Brothers, they were in like they were technically in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. The EC3 and Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, like all Mike, and especially Mike and Maria Kanellis, when they just signed like big deals with to re-sign with the company, as well as the Good Brothers, even big, like $500,000 to both of them for 5 years. that was super surprising that they would just let him go. So to me, it feels like there's something there that isn't in the forefront yet that people just don't know about as to why this is happening. Because I honestly cannot see Vince being so vindictive just to get rid of all these people in the apex of this pandemic. You know what I mean?
I mean, I do, so.
I know a lot of people do. I want to see the good in humanity. I do. It's not easy though. It's not. That man is very petty. That we know for a complete assurity. Anything left on your end for this news article?
No, I mean, I think we covered some of the bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we'll definitely stay tuned to all that's going on here because this is a really big piece of news that happened not too long ago. So we got to keep our eyes and ears on what's going down, and we'll let you guys know when we know more. All right, what is our next piece of news, sir?
Talk about a big one that it technically expands, all wrestling for Florida. So it affects, 3 of the major companies when it comes to wrestling. But it was from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis coming out and saying that wrestling, sports entertainment programming as an essential business, which is allowing, WWE and technically all the sports entertainment, which includes AEW in Jacksonville and Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They're still in Orlando. I'm pretty sure they're still in Florida.
I think they are still in Florida, but I'm not entirely sure where. But if they weren't in Orlando, it's possible that they went back there because of all of this.
Right. So it's allowing all of them to stay open as essential businesses. This has come under some controversy. Some, according to some of the people, some controversy to some of the people out there. I do want to kind of go with the correction. Correction there when I saw, I believe it was either Cultaholic or What Culture, but they got it mixed around when they talked about it. I just want to kind of clarify for everyone's sake for understanding. They got it mixed around when they talked about Ron DeSantis. They said he was the mayor of Orlando, and they said the other guy was the governor of Florida, who's actually the mayor of Orlando. They got this switched around. But it is Ron DeSantis, Florida governor. But like I said, there's a lot of controversy because people think that it shouldn't be counted as essential business. What's your take on that matter? Should it be counted?
It's really hard to say yes or no to that because we do need escapism, but we don't know is that the right kind of escapism. It's a catch-22, I feel. What do you think?
I feel like it's definitely possible to keep into the realms of social distancing while still doing professional wrestling for the most part. If you just have, it's really just kind of two people that, for the most part, I guess 3 people that have to kind of get within a close range of each other, 2 wrestlers and the referee.
Right.
For the most part, you can do safely with the others. it'd be a good idea if they could get a lot of the crew masks and gloves, and that would kind of like that would mostly fix the problem. If everyone is wearing masks and gloves, then you don't really have to worry about it too much. You would have it mostly covered.
Right. And it would be interesting to actually see some of the wrestlers. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be able to work 100%, but it would be interesting to see a match where the wrestlers are wearing masks and gloves. Either as a storyline element or what have you. At least something. But as long as they are testing them before they get into the building, like every single wrestler, like they have been, to where like there's no fever, there's no signs or symptoms of this virus, then yeah, you can go ahead and wrestle. But if there's like any shadow of a doubt, send them home. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, I want to say right now I'm watching some of the MLW action, like this second week of cross promotion with AAA in Mexico. And I don't know when this was filmed previously, but definitely not time with social distancing because there's a lot of people in attendance.
I think they filmed it like early this year or late last year, within that time frame.
Yeah, that probably explains it, Yes. So,
because I'm pretty sure the owner of MLW sent out said publicly that he isn't going to run shows. He isn't actually going to film anything until this is over. So once these tapings are completed, it's going to be a little bit of time before we're actually able to see them, everybody wrestling again for MLW. I think. I know Ring of Honor definitely said that they're shutting down until this pandemic is settled.
Yeah, but that's that does end up crossing into some of the second news categories, so we can go back and finish up news for Inside WWE.
Yeah, and that news has to correlate to Money in the Bank, where they're doing one or two. I'm not entirely sure how they're. It's probably going to be two separate matches, where it's going to start at the ground floor of the WWE office in Connecticut, I think. And then they have to race their way all the way up to the roof, where there is a ring and a crane-like structure with the Money in the Bank briefcase suspended over. Why?
It's definitely crazy. It sounds like it's definitely going to be a situation where we have cinematic money. Doesn't mean you can't logically film. I mean, it's probably a tall building.
It from the picture I saw, it looked like it was at least 7 stories.
Well, it's possible, but it seems like it'd take a bit. And it'd be pretty boring to see climbing up the stairs and then stopping at almost every other floor to do something entertaining. So I would assume it's going to be another one of the pre-taped cinematic ones, which I guess make people go crazy for it. It'll be like, oh, it's so amazing. Greatest thing we ever saw.
Yeah, I have a feeling we are not going to like these matches or this pay-per-view. But we will be watching and we will be live reacting and everything for it, but oh boy. And I'm surprised at the names so far that are in the match. Not so much Shayna Baszler, but Asuka is in it, Nia Jax is in it, And this previous SmackDown, we had none other than Naomi taking on Dana Brooke. And when you hear that, who do you think who won that?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with Dana Brooke on this one.
Well,
obvious choice.
You would be absolutely right.
Correct.
Dana Brooke actually won. I know that was sarcasm, but that's actually exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Naomi comes in. For some reason, everybody's all a huge buzz over Naomi, and, well, it didn't really work out for her. She's not in the Money in the Bank match at all. Dana Brooke is. And Dana Brooke has a title match with Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, that's interesting. She has her hands full of Money in the Bank.
Yeah, definitely.
And you want to hear something even...
So is that title match going to be at Money in the Bank, or is it going to be at...
I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have to relook that up, but...
Because it's going to be at Money in the Bank, that would be even more proof of the fact that's going to be a cinematic match.
Right. Oh, the way it all looks, it's obvious it's a cinematic match. It's absolutely crazy.
So you think everything's at least going to be at the Towers? Like put a wrestling ring in the lobby or something? Or is it just going to be half Orlando, half Connecticut? Oh man, I just thought about it. This could end up being like the last man standing match, but worse. Just a tour of the facilities. Vince McMahon's like, make sure they get my T-Rex in there. Because those who don't know, he does have a T-Rex fossil skull one. I don't know if it's a real one, but he has one I'm certain in his office. I say it's certainly probably not because it's also like a half of one in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know who would be ballsy enough to buy a fossil of a T-Rex skull and cut it in half.
What?
I feel like that's got to be one of the most expensive things to actually buy would be a actual like T-Rex fossil.
Mm-hmm. That'd be weird if you actually spent a lot of money on that. But then again, it is Vince.
Yeah. So after that, do you have any other major news stories for WWE?
None that's in my head right now. But we do have a number one contender for Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah. That was an interesting pick for him, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
Tamina Snuka.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. Yeah, let's see if they actually give her something to work with.
Surprisingly, Sam... I can't think of his last name right now, but Sam is from What Culture actually wants Tamina to win the whole thing, like to actually beat Bayley. That would be weird because I think Lacey Evans has worked so hard and improved so much. I actually want to see her get the championship. I really want to see that, but who knows what's going to happen. But I don't think any of the men are. And I don't think they have had any of their qualifying matches. But I know of the four: Dana Brooke, Nia Jax, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. Those four are in the Money in the Bank match. Do you know of any else?
You basically have to have double. Basically, have to have double. It's double elimination. First elimination is matches. The second elimination is being fired. You gotta survive both.
Oh boy. Well, and going back to the first thing that we talked about, it's so weird how Rusev, Sarah Logan, and Zack Ryder are gone, yet Chelsea Green, Lana, and is she married to Ro?
Smaller one.
The smaller was it Ro or
I think it's Ro.
Yeah, they are still in the company, so that has to be weird. Because it's not like it was like John Moxley and what's her name? Yes, it's not like it was. It's like them two, where it's John Moxley's decision to just leave. No, they actually got fired, while the other ones are still employed. So it's gonna be something. Ready to move on?
Yes.
Alright, it's time for segment number 2, and it's news outside of the WWE. It's where we talk about anything that isn't related to the WWE, and we are going to talk about the first thing. No, we already talked about that. We're going to talk about AEW and their tournament. They have a tournament for a new championship called the TNT Championship, and so far they've had 2 out of their 4 matches for round 1. Matches that are yet to occur is Darby Allin taking on Sammy Guevara. That one should be a really good match. We've seen them face each other before. And the other one is Kip Sabian taking on Dustin Rhodes. That should be a very interesting matchup that I'm really interested in to see how they work together. However, the 2 matches that have already happened, first match was Cody taking on Shawn Spears, where Cody got the win in the end. And the other match was Lance Archer taking on Colt Cabana, where Lance Archer defeated Colt Cabana. We're just waiting for the other 2 to win to see what the round 2 pairings are for the semifinals. It's either going to be Cody taking on Darby or Cody taking on Sammy. And on the other side, Lance is either going to be facing Dustin Rhodes or he's going to be facing Kip Sabian. So that should be very interesting. Your thoughts on this whole thing and the brand new championship?
I think, I mean, for the most part, just supporting it. Good mid-card championship to be added. I think tournament has, had, start and seems going to have a growth to make it more and more interesting as it goes on.
Right.
Well, how about you?
I have been really interested in it since they talked about it, especially with the names involved. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see who they actually give the inaugural championship reign to. Because a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Lance Archer getting the win here. This could also be a way for Cody Rhodes to right around the fact that he is not going to challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in any time in the future.
Right.
So it's very, very interesting which route they decide to go. But everything is leading to Cody Rhodes versus Lance Archer in the finals. That's where the storyline is like massively heading right now. So
Lance Archer.
You think it's Lance Archer?
Yes.
That'd be really cool. And to see Lance Archer come like so far in the last couple of years in his wrestling career is really bloody amazing because he's a really good wrestler. WWE should not have let him go. I don't remember the name he was under, but I know he did wrestle for them for a little while. Yeah. All right. What's the next thing?
Next news story. Going up now. And gladly enough, we did cover some other news stories like the ROH. I also heard from our ROH is going to be giving out checks to like contracted wrestlers and stuff who are going to be missing opportunities because of not filming shows. That's good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And just good in general for the idea of not hosting shows, for safety concerns.
Right.
But then we do also have other taping from
Impact.
From Impact, yes. Like mine kept going to TNA. It's like from Impact Wrestling, who at least did a very bulk taping, so they're not going to have to come in week after week,
right?
In order to set the keep filming. So at least doing that is a little safer.
Yeah, I think the rumor is they did enough for at least 5 weeks, which is a month and a week, or a month depending on the size of the month or whatever. So that's really bloody good. However, if you really want to see their champion, unfortunately, you won't be able to because she was not able to make the tapings at all. So Tessa Blanchard is not going to be represented in any of these shows in the next coming weeks. But yeah, at least they are being a lot safer, doing a huge bulk of tapings and just waiting it out, seeing what happens. And I think AEW did the same thing where they, in 3 or 4 days, they filmed enough for 3 or 4 weeks up until Double or Nothing. They haven't filmed that yet, but it's a wonder why WWE is not taking the same route that AEW and Impact are right now. Because
a lot of the questions before, they did pre-taping stuff, but it said that the contract with the TV company said that they had to have so many live shows. But now it's looking like they're going to do some more tapings, not as big blocks, but a little smaller blocks. So they may have worked something out with the television companies,
right?
Television networks, as I say, USA and
Fox,
respectively. Which would make sense for them to do. You can let not live shows really slide right now. So I think they are supposed to be going into some taping, but I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if the work's going to be as big of blocks as AEW and Impact have done.
Right. Because even though AEW and Impact are popular in their own right, WWE is still a massive giant when it comes to the wrestling world. So, but it's a shame that we won't get to see Tessa Blanchard, though. Is definitely a championship of controversy and backlash, to say the least. Your final thoughts on this one?
I think I got mostly everything else I had to say about it. I will say it's pretty funny watching MLW right now. I cut to the commentators table. Clearly something put in later because it's pre-taped and all, and it's from Mexico. But like the way they have them, just like you can see behind them like some concrete wall, like they just did it in like the backstage area. It's like the idea of if it is live, which they're trying to play off as it's like commentary, it'd be like Triple A just put them in like outside the arena or something. Because that's how it's looking. It's pretty funny, but yeah.
And what was the last thing? I think it had to do with AEW. Yes, that's what it is. I remember now. So, Double or Nothing, we mentioned it a little while ago. It actually is happening. However, it is not happening in Las Vegas. It's going to be filmed in Florida. They're waiting to see if it's going to be live. If it's not, though, then they're going to film it in Florida, like I said. And Double or Nothing isn't going to be back in Las Vegas until 2021. Hopefully. We'll see how all this virus shenanigans end up. A lot of people are expecting it to be plateauing right now, but we just have to wait and see and just try to be as smart in this whole deal as we possibly can. So what are your thoughts on how they've decided to schedule and move around Double or Nothing 2020 and 2021?
I mean, it's not really too many thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just kind of is what it is right now.
Right. Do you think it's a good decision on their part to do it this way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes the most sense to just keep everybody as safe and healthy as they possibly can. And at least we are still getting the wrestling that we love to watch in this uncertain times. Because even though we are still amidst this pandemic, at least we did, even though some of us didn't like everything to do with WrestleMania, at least we still got to see WrestleMania and got to escape just for those couple of days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to Double or Nothing #2. That one's going to be a little bit more difficult to watch together, though, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right. What's next on our? Is that all the news?
Yes, I believe so. All the major news.
All right. So let's move on to the next segment of our show. It's a very fun segment because we finally get to talk about wrestling that we've actually watched, and this is the best segment of the week. Yeah, it's been a while. Forgive me, you guys. The best segment of the week. It's where we talk about our favorite moment in our match, our whatever that we saw this week. And would you like to go first, sir?
Sure. I'll go first. Sure. I'll go first. I was watching MLW from Tijuana, and the latest episode from yesterday that they put out. They had a really good tag team match final that I thought was really entertaining. It had a lot of different various things of fast-paced and technical and character building type stuff. I thought it was real entertaining. Between the AAA team, because they also did on a AAA versus MLW type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But for the AAA team of Puma King and Extreme Tiger versus Team Filthy with represented by Filthy Tom Lawler and Dominic Garini.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's pronounced the name. Dominic Garini. So that was the two teams in there, and I thought, like I said, it was very entertaining. It had a lot of different levels to it. Quick pace, some high flying things, technical wrestling things. It was very, I would just say, very diverse and generally entertaining.
That's cool. I didn't actually watch a lot of wrestling this week, but the one match that stood out to me was Jurassic Express represented by Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, taking on the makeshift team of Kip Sabian and Peter Avalon. A lot of good comedy bits, a lot of good athletic bits. Peter Avalon definitely becoming one of the best natural heels in the when it comes to AEW's roster. Very fun jobber to watch, and yeah, it's definitely been a really cool. It was a really good match. Jurassic Express did get the win after pinning Peter Avalon, but it was a lot of fun, and yeah, looking forward to seeing more that Jurassic Express has to offer.
I was also saying this hardcore match here that involves what was his name? Mason Reed, is it? And Savio Vega. That's Savio Vega versus two luchadors whose name I didn't catch. Is pretty crazy. It's a like hardcore match with a whole bunch of stuff around the outside, including not limited to a hood from a car.
Oh boy, that does sound crazy.
That's very zany there. But yes, yeah. So that was the best segment of the week. All right.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Are You Serious? It's where we take a topic in the world of wrestling and we either rant about it or we praise it. I guess the thing that everybody is ranting about is what WWE just did. But let's see if we do something different. What is your thing you want to rant and or rave about?
Well, I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, drat. I am actually going to praise WWE when everyone else is just destroying them in their rants right now, but not for the thing you think I am. It's actually...
Playoffs?
Huh?
Playoffs?
No, I'm not praising them for that. I'm actually praising them for keeping the title on Becky Lynch. A lot of people really wanted to see Shayna Baszler take the title, and yes, she was good on NXT, but what NXT is not what the main roster is. And people can say that it's a lateral move, not getting called up all they want. They're two separate entities. If it is a lateral move, it's completely left and right. SmackDown and Raw on one side, NXT on the other. And the reaction that Shayna Baszler was getting, not only from the crowd, but even from you and I, especially in her showcase in the Elimination Chamber, was probably what Vince saw and was like, yeah, let's keep it on Becky. She's a better voice for the championship. She's a better representative for the company. And not saying that Shayna Baszler is not going to be a good champion down the line. I don't think she's ready for the stage and the expectations of a main roster. So having her perform in the Money in the Bank and having her chasing while Becky is still champion and representing the company and being the face is actually a smart decision on WWE's part, and not through any bias of my own, because I actually came around to Shayna Baszler in her NXT run. I was actually a fan of a couple of her matches when others weren't, so it is literally my thoughts on Becky representing or at least being the face that people can go to. more people are going to be attracted to watch a show that has Becky Lynch as champion than Shayna right now. And yeah, your turn.
Okay, before I get started there, I looked it up, and it is it's Mance Warner. That's the name of the guy that I was like not sure about in this match right here that I'm watching. And whoa boy, they had a segment there where him and Lucha Guy were facing off against each other. And you know how they do in Japan where they have the whole like tough guy thing where they elbow each other in the face, you know, with the forearms and stuff,
Right.
and they're like, "That's not strong, come at me." Well, they did that, but with chair shots to the head.
Protected though, right?
Well, after the first one, Mance started protecting him slightly. Not the Mexican guy, not the luchador, no.
The luchador was just taking it.
Yes. Like, he took the first hit, and then he hit Mance, and then he was, like, doing this. So they hit him in the head, then he gets hit in the head, then he hits him back, and then does a jerk-off. The luchador does a jerk-off motion. Basically, and now they're lighting the table on fire.
Nice. Are we actually going to get to see it? It's not going to be Chekhov's table like impacts?
Oh, this is a high fire. This is really on fire.
Oh boy.
Oh, he went through it. He's on fire. He's on fire. He's still on fire.
Is he about to die?
Okay, now it's out. Mance had to go in there and like start punching. Look like he's punching them by actually putting out the fire. It's just,
wow.
That is that's wild. The table is still also on fire. It's broken in the ring, but it's on fire.
That sounds like it's one crazy match.
But yes. Okay, so my rant. My rant is going to be on, saying, what were you thinking, internet wrestling community? Why would you support the cinematic wrestling stuff? I mean, come on. It's basically, now they have doors. Now they just have doors, like wood doors. And they're beating each other up with it. But it's like, what were you thinking with the whole, like, Boneyard match? What was the other one? Oh, Firefight Roadhouse was better, because, I mean, it seemed more intentional in the way, I think we already talked about that in, like, our reviews.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed more intentional in the absurdity of it. But, I mean, it's like, it seems like maybe, like, I heard people compare it to Sharknado, and it's like, well, that's still not good. I mean, you can't go and say The Room was good. And it's like,
you definitely cannot say The Room is good.
It's like, what, it means like, correct by this match. It's like, this isn't something to be encouraged anymore. It's just a B-grade movie. It's not even like, say, for instance, the Party Compound stuff, which was, once again, it's meant to be campy.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I still literally feel like most of that Boneyard match was supposed to be taken seriously.
It was.
It was very obviously supposed to be looked at as Undertaker is supposed to look like a badass coming out of this, and he doesn't.
No, he looks like an old man who can't go anymore. Just like he always does. The main difference is, and I'm not even gonna bring the Hardy Compound stuff into it right now. The main difference between Firefly Funhouse match and Boneyard match is John Cena and Bray Wyatt were self-deprecating the entire way through. The Boneyard match, AJ Styles and Undertaker were doing everything they can to be serious. It's like, oh, you're an old man, you're out of touch, you can't go anymore, you're done. And then Undertaker's like, yeah, what's my name? What's my wife's name? You think you think you stop me? You think it just came across as, oh, I am this amazing person still in this realm, where the other one is just like, oh, we're just gonna have fun and just go crazy with it.
Yeah, it's definitely very written, very fanficky as well.
Which one?
The Boneyard match. Like, I don't want to. Like, it's a little odd to say, but Undertaker came off as kind of Mary Sue-ish. But with just being mostly on top of the whole match.
Yeah, he didn't actually take a single real bump the entire match.
Yeah.
When I watched it the second time, he gets like thrown through a wall or something like that, but that's the only punishment he actually really took. All of it was just like punches and forearms and stuff. He actually didn't take any real bumps.
Like, it's just uncreative writing. Like, when it comes, like, saying the whole fan fiction, marriage, sewage type thing, like, look at the idea of the Druid come out. Wouldn't it make more sense that you introduce a new thing and that had to be something that Undertaker has to overcome and be a difficult challenge versus something that he just kind of takes out instantly with no problem?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the difference between before the Druids enter and after the Druids leave? Literally nothing. You could have taken them out and you lose nothing from the logic of the storytelling. It's just like someone telling a story, trying to hype themselves up, and it's like, yeah, then there was 20 guys and I beat them all up instantly. It's not really compelling.
Mm-hmm. More compelling is like, yeah, there was 20 guys and I was able to get 5 of them out really quick, but the other 15, they took me to my limit, and it took everything I had just to take each one out individually by separating them through my cunning. That is way more compelling.
It would have been a lot more interesting too if they did go through Firefly Funhouse type thing. Because if all they would have done is this, like, each druid would have been one of the, like, they would have had, they either had, like, I was say 21, but it's not really the right number. But it's like they could have had the, basically the same number of druids that they had of Undertaker victories at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to basically fight representations. Like, it won't be a real person, but someone that looks vaguely enough like him, maybe just put masks on people so you really can't tell. But for the most part, just looks like them. And he has to overcome them in ways familiar to key points of that match. You know, maybe he has to hang the big boss man through it. You recreate the whole Shawn Michaels trying to climb up Undertaker, you know, at that very, like, end of the match when he just wants to put him down. And, you know, you would have, like, callbacks to all of the previous matches, and you would have that most of the show, and then the last Druid is Bray Wyatt himself, but as the old Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would have been a compelling story arc of how to go through things and be interesting. That was the difference between Firefly Funhouse and the Boneyard matches. The Boneyard match isn't interesting.
Yeah.
It was low grade, low budget, and simply it's amateurish at best. Mm-hmm. It's not even something that it was something that you would submit at maybe the end of your first year at film school and get an F on.
D plus.
D plus.
The lighting and the pyrotechnics were really good. The editing was fine. The
over-edited, but okay.
Huh?
A little over-edited at parts, but okay.
In parts, yes. That's why I did not say a C. I don't give this a passing grade by any stretch of the imagination. Firefly Funhouse, I would give a B plus. because it wasn't really much of a match as it was a story.
No, it wasn't a match. At least what I said with the Undertaker thing, it would have actually had match components to it.
Right. But
and
yeah.
Also, if you're going to pre-tape it, why not just think of getting a stunt double for Undertaker? I mean, you can literally just film things in a way that you don't see his face. I mean, you do it in movies all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it look better.
To be fair, they filmed a lot of stuff where we didn't see his face anyway.
Which, to be fair, they could have put a stunt double in. Like, you remember when I compared it to a late Steven Seagal film?
Mm-hmm.
They do that all the time. Like, Steven Seagal's character has to run someplace, you don't see his face because they put a stunt double in. Because they literally can't get him to run.
Right, and
they do whatever they can not show his face in action scenes and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely. I agree with this rant, sir. People should not have gotten on board with this so quickly. I feel like Sam, you, and myself, and I think DJ. I hope DJ and Francesca. We're all just like, nah, this ain't it. Nope. Don't do this again. Oh, you're doing this again. Great.
Yeah, then they did it again. I mean, I don't even want to see the finale of Ogino Ciampa.
You saw some of it?
I already saw, I saw a little clip and I was like, they're doing cinematic. I'm not going to watch it.
Well, they did do cinematic. And a lot of people didn't like it.
I mean, unless they're going to go, extreme with it, at a point in time in the match where Goldie actually comes to life, leaps off a bottom pole, flies in, and it's just trying to tell him, and it's like, am I really enough to break up a friendship? Think of yourself, Daddy. Think of Johnny. Think of Johnny Gargano. And then the crutches start talking. Unless they're gonna go extreme with it.
So let's transition this to our next segment, which is book it yourself, and let's book a cinematic WWE match. Let's do it.
I shouldn't have done the thing with the Undertaker though.
I was thinking about that.
I shouldn't have done Undertaker Bray Wyatt. I just booked one.
I was thinking about that while you're talking about this one as well. I'm just like, you know what? Not only are we going to do a WWE cinematic match, we're actually going to book our version of the Boneyard match from start to finish. Let's do it. So, how does it... let's keep AJ Styles, the Good Brothers, and Undertaker as the main focus of what's going on. But how do we make this better?
Can I add one other focus, though?
Mm-hmm.
Give him a point to give him an interesting dynamic to work in. The initial coffin. Instead of two druids coming out of the earth, it's three. And they pull out the coffin and then reveal themselves as AJ and the Good Brothers. And then it's like, well, who's in the coffin? Pops open, bump up. It's Michelle McCool. They kidnapped her, so it makes an interesting dynamic that now Undertaker also has to work with a kidnapping. And they can exert pressure on him anytime he gets a little too far,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just have to make a scenario where he has to, actually think about things and overcome and save Michelle before he can really go at AJ.
So, Michelle McCool was actually a part of a lot of the promos that were going on. So I like it. I like it.
It makes no sense to actually have her there then.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we're gonna do. The person who comes out of we see the coffin come out, and when it's opened, it's not Undertaker. it's not AJ. It's Michelle McCool. She could. Is she gonna be tied and bound and gagged, or is she gonna be just frozen?
Arms and gagged.
Arms and gagged.
Yeah.
All right, and then we see the because I feel like the reveal should not happen until after of AJ and the Good Brothers until after the reveal of Michelle McCool.
Okay.
Michelle first, and then they take off their robes, and they're like, "All right, Undertaker, where are you?" Then he makes his way. All right, so we have a good start. Let's go on throughout the match. How do they? I would say once the Undertaker gets there, he sees. I would say so Undertaker's on his bike coming in like he was in the original. AJ, because apparently he has supersonic hearing, is like, "Oh, Undertaker's coming. Get her ready." The Good Carl and Luke grab Michelle, put her on their shoulder, and actually walk her up to the roof and have her suspended in a way where she's on the roof and in danger, and all they have to do is like press a button or pull a lever, and she falls to her demise.
Can I say not button or lever because that seems a little campy?
Okay, well, what would you switch?
I mean, it just really has to be simple. They're on a roof. You just really have to put her at the edge of the roof and say, "Hey, we'll just kick her off."
Okay.
And you can say like there's farming equipment there. Like you say there's like a like a mulcher or something at the base there.
All right,
so
that's
like,
fine.
We'll kick her into the mulcher, kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes it to the extreme, but I mean, I feel like this needs to be big extreme.
Yeah, because it's a silly cinematic match. I mean, even if it's not to the extreme of we're going to kill her, just throwing her off a roof and like crippling her is still horrible.
Right.
So we're gonna do that. So all right. So now she's in this position to where she can be thrown off of a roof, and now Undertaker sees AJ Styles. The match is getting ready to start, but now the Good Brothers are there with tied and bound and gagged Michelle at the edge of the roof where she can get thrown off and hurt beyond belief, giving AJ all of the early offense.
Right, and every time Undertaker starts going back, they're like, "Ba. Don't forget Michelle," and then he gets distracted and he just has to kind of take abuse there. And it's just going to be a build-up of a face moment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, they understand the dynamics normally of the face-heel dynamics that the face has to overcome things, but like I said, it was so fan-fiction the way that it was written beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
They just overlooked that and didn't have him overcome anything.
Right. So, yeah, now that's going on. Undertaker finally gets a big moment to where he knocks AJ into the grave. They've been going at it back and forth where AJ has the majority of the offense. He finally knocks him into the grave, and he's about to go to the tractor to dump all the dirt on him when he's like, "Hey, what did we just tell you? If you keep going, she's gonna get kicked off." He looks and he decides, I gotta go to her. But while he steps away from the tractor and the grave, that's when all the doors rise. Would you still go 21? Because that would make it a match like an hour long. Or would you just...
No, I wouldn't go that far for that, because I mean, I'm just saying, that was the full focus of the match.
Right.
Beginning to end.
So, how many druids are we gonna put in at this point? Now that he's like, hey, what do you think you're doing, druids?
You want to do, like, you want to actually beat druids? I think it would just be more potent if it was just actual wrestlers we could see that maybe has some type of connection or tie to the Undertaker.
Okay.
That would make more sense. Like, it doesn't have to be all the WrestleMania ones, but at least some that have had feud with them in the past. And it would also be a little more explanatory because we actually figure them out and we would understand how the Good Brothers and AJ, they were able to recruit the guys. It's people who already had pre-existing beef with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should be a dramatic reveal. You doors open, lights. You see like a behind shot showing like one that goes around and sees like all of them at their like foot level. But then maybe like a close up to Undertaker. It's like, oh my god, them.
Mm-hmm.
Him.
Or instead of just saying,
brother, do, turn around, he's leading the pack guys. That's wrong with them because of their bad history together. And it is going to be explicitly like very early on, Demon King, like very old school King.
Mm-hmm.
Showing transition.
So that definitely puts a different dynamic on what we got, where it was just 6 or 7 dudes in druid in druid outfit, just getting punched and powdering out. Because once they got there, it was like, okay, we might be able to get something a little bit more interesting. Oh, okay, he just beat them all instantly, and now they're gone. What was the point? So, yeah, if we have Kane, I think Big Boss Man, is he still alive?
He's dead.
Okay, never mind. Who are some... Wait. Who are some really good people that had iconic feuds with The Undertaker? I mean, I know JBL did. Triple H did. But it's hard to know, like, unless we're bringing Magic. I mean, it's Undertaker. We can always bring Magic, and it's literally them taking the past selves of certain people.
Yeah, I did point out the idea of having like old school King. So it can just be like old school guys all in like a big boss man. Not real, but a big boss man.
Mm-hmm.
In a similar Kane mask, and every like guy, like kind of like what I said with the other one, but it's kind of slimmed down to some past feuds, not necessarily always WrestleMania based, but just ones like that, just to kind of like a simulation of it there, and have like it be really tough battle for him. He's just really trying to fight them all, but maybe the way he kind of gets it is like trying to get into Kane's head. Maybe he takes off the mask and tries to reason with them, and maybe the way he gets around it is that Kane changes his mind and actually helps out his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And have that be the way to get over that hump, possibly. I don't know. Complex one.
Okay, so they're all attacking him at the same time. They're throwing him around. He's definitely getting beat down. And he keeps going, Kane, remember, this isn't us, and this isn't you anymore. You've grown so much. We've grown so much. And then finally, he's no longer that Demon Kane anymore, because he's not the Demon Kane anymore. Let's be real.
If zany enough, we can have a zoom in to Kane as he has like a short montage. And it's like going back and forth between him, like going like, oh, this, and a montage of them working together.
I mean, to be fair, the best parts of the Firefly Funhouse match was when they showed a lot of the past footage with John Cena to help tell the story of the Firefly Funhouse match. So let's do it. It's because there's no way to take any of this seriously. So we have to go all out with it, or it's just gonna be like The Room or like Sharknado, where these people are taking these things so serious, yet it's so bloody stupid and bad. So let's go for the zaniness, where he's like, no, he's watching all these different druids of Big Boss Man, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, CM Punk, all these other people. Heck, even Vince McMahon with the Ministry of Darkness, and they're just like, then finally Kane comes to. They start beating them together. They finally overcome that, and then AJ Styles is back. He's on the roof. Because let's skip all the... If we're going to do the, he can teleport thing, let's skip all of him about to be thrown into the graveyard prematurely. And, he attacks him. He, as in AJ Styles, attacks Undertaker, runs up the stairs to the roof, the ladder to the roof, where there's the three of them, and they're like, "You know what? We're done with this. We're just throwing her off the roof." And then we have the teleportation scene where he teleports on the roof, because watching Undertaker climb that stinking ladder took forever. And he was so slow.
And I think the big thing here, you have a point where Luke Gallows and AJ break off, fight him, double team him. And during this time, Michelle McCool takes advantage of this, advantage of Paul Anderson being distracted. And like I said before, hands bound. So she goes and kicks him right in the crotch, and starts to make her escape. Because to be fair, I don't know what's the right word would be very, but to show Michelle McCool in just a situation where it has to be only rescued, I want her to be able to participate in it as well.
Right. And you can't give the woman who held for 2 years straight the most eliminations in the Women's Royal Rumble match. You can't paint her as this absolute helpless woman, because one, she probably wouldn't allow it, and two, it doesn't really make sense. She's a professional wrestler, so I like that. I do like that decision to have her fight off enough to almost escape. But then Luke Gallows and AJ Styles were like, "Oh, drat, Carl Anderson is struggling up there by himself. Let's go help, and let's just end this." Alright, so now he's on the roof. He ends up killing both Luke and Carl in kayfabe. They're killed off. They're no longer coming back. I know, too soon. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, literally, yes. That's how they write out Carl Anderson on the roof getting blown up.
Right. So now it's just AJ. Now it's just AJ Styles alone with Undertaker and Mrs. Taker. She's no longer gagged and tied. He runs off. And we'll actually have her throw him off the roof as a sign of revenge to get her receipt back. Right. And now we're at the final moments of the match. He's overcome so much. He's super tired. He's finally down on the ground with AJ Styles, and he's speeding him up with weak punches because a lot is taken out of him. Where do we go from there?
I don't know. It really just seems like it's going to the wrap-up point.
I know what I was saying is, how do we wrap it up? What's the best way to wrap this story up? in a neat little bow.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's only way to wrap it up is to chuck him right into the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only other thing there, like maybe like before going into, you got the whole little thing where he was talking to him beforehand. Pull him up before putting him in the grave and just be like, this would be the point where you can say her name again.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like, no, like, it's not right, honey. And you see her on the tractor, he goes, pushes him in there, and then she activates the tractor, push it in.
Okay. And then, yeah, that would, she does the track. They finally get down. The pyro goes off, and they just ride off into the sunset or sunrise.
Yeah.
I think we've improved it.
That could actually be a fitting exit too, because that's sunrise. They do at sunrise make it seem as though like it was that late of a match and it went through the entire night. And it's a good, if not stereotypical ending to have something like that end in a sunrise. But for storytelling reasons, I mean, it's a reason why it's.
Even though it is a cliche and it's stereotypical, it helps tell the story of the passage of time. Like if they start where the sun is setting and then it ends with the sun rising, it gives that moment of wow, they fought so long, so hard, and gone through so much for so long.
I was just meaning more for the stereotypical idea of the sun rising, new light, hope for tomorrow, overcoming the villain type thing scenario. But yeah, so they have that. So I think we kept a lot of the main points that they had in there, but we added a lot more stakes for Undertaker, and we made a lot more of a build up to give people to support him, reasons to support him, things to overcome, storytelling beats that would actually be a little more entertaining than what the game was.
True.
So I mean, for a rough draft, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, most of our book it yourselves are rough drafts anyway. It always comes on the fly, but for our first draft of something to improve what we got, I like it. I think we should totally get a job to do these kind of things because you're a good DM, I'm a good writer. And with our talents together, we'd make some really good cinematic wrestling.
You better explain what he said by DM. I meant by the concept that I've said before that in the creative world, there's more dungeon master types where they can come up with a general idea and world, an overarching story, but not necessarily the little details. So that's what he's referencing there.
Yeah, because I think you and I are both really good at the overarching stories and stuff like that. But I know when it comes to dialogue, that's always really tough. Because I mean, just look at listen to the dialogue that happened in that match we watched at WrestleMania. It was horrible. It was basically like I've said it many times. It was a bad porn parody. It was so bloody bad. And it turns out all of it was improv. I believe it.
It's very interesting fact that we were able to go and make it more interesting, more compelling and serious, but actually also make it more campy at points. And so I mean that's the whole thing is like people saying it's like it's very campy or shocking. It's like I mean to a degree, but it was pretty bland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Like, what's the quote? Like, people saying, it's like, what's your name? It's like, is that it? I mean, you look at the room, there's so many things. Lisa, you're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I did not hit her. I did not. Not true. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
And then also the meme of men in nice suits tossing around footballs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it, there. I mean, there's a lot to roles, too. I mean, it just wasn't a lot to the concept of the Boneyard match that actually made it campy enough to be interesting.
Right. Because they took themselves way too serious. They needed to embrace the camp, and it's obvious they did not. I mean,
if you do take yourself seriously, I mean, that's kind of like the thing. It's like the room. It was very clearly a serious idea, but a person who had like no reasonable concept of what serious is.
Mm-hmm. That's a good analogy to the Boneyard match. It's obvious they were trying to be serious about this, but they did not have the comprehension of what it meant to be serious.
Yeah, it was just mostly just too bad. It wasn't so bad it was good.
Right. All right, that was fun.
Yeah.
We actually did a great job. I'm glad that we talked about that match, and it gave me the idea to do this. But let's go on to our penultimate segment, and it is What Do You Think? It's where we take a question and we ask it to our fellow compadres, and we ask them, well, what do you think? And my question to you, sir, is after COVID-19 is put to bed, what do you think the overall state of wrestling is going to be? Is it going to be back to normal instantly, or do you think it's going to take some time to come back to normalcy?
I mean, it's going to be built up at different levels for the different level of competition. Because, I mean, we don't know how the season's going to work. It's going to be more sparse. Still try to do social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying even for the major ones. The minor ones are going to have a lot more rebuild. That's why I said idea that's going to take different levels of time actually get around and revive back to fully where they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely makes sense.
They had a rough bump in this match with Dorado Kid versus Alex Hammerstone.
Mm-hmm.
Dorado Kid hit a Spanish fly off the top ropes and is like going for the pin and say, "What happened?" "Oh, the ref's not in here." So his decision there was to go outside, pick up the ref, and toss him back in the ring. Like literally just like
funny.
Back in there. But that distraction allowed Hammerstone to pick up the victory.
Wow.
That's why I laughed there. It's like that's the craziest way I've seen a ref bump tell whatever.
All right. So, what is your question, Senor?
My question. What do you think they can really do to make an interesting match in an office building? Like if they came to you and it's like, "Hey, can you give us maybe some suggestions, just some spots, not a full-blown story on, not like a book it,
Right,
but
right.
just maybe some ideas that they could do during the match."
All right. So they start on the ground floor, right?
Right.
And I'm obviously gonna, since it's cinematic, I'm obviously going make it campy, because what did we both say is the appeal of wrestling? The spontaneity of it, right? The spontaneity of it, right? Where they're doing these things live in front of a crowd, and every single moment matters when it comes to their performance, because it is a performance art. However, they do not have the theater aspect of it anymore. Now it's theatrical, and a theater production is very, here's the background, here's the stage. You can't do that in a movie without it being very stale. You need camera movements. You need different kinds of scenes. I have 4. Number 1 is going to be having a battle in an elevator. There's elevators there. They have to get to the roof. 2 guys end up in. One guy just runs to the elevator. He's trying to close it. One guy sneaks in. Doors close, and they just start fighting in the elevator. And by the end, like the top comes off. They use that to hit each other. By the end, one person is just completely laid out. The elevator is destroyed, and the other guy's just limping out. Another thing that would be interesting is a scaffolding. I think that's the things that the window cleaners use.
Yeah.
They get onto that, and there's 2 people. They're teaming up. They're trying to get up there with it, and they realize when they get close to the top. Obviously, you don't see them doing the whole thing. It's super, like, you see other things happening, and they keep cutting back to them going up. Once they're finally up there, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're actually there's the briefcase, but we're not working together anymore." And they attack on the scaffolding, and it's moving and stuff like that. That would be really fun and cool. Could end with someone getting thrown off, falling to their demise. Obviously, they're going to be okay, but that's a good way to write off someone.
Okay, but just fired.
It's a good way to write someone off if you don't have anything for them necessarily yet. Or that could be Elias's big bump, because apparently he can fall off crazy distances and be okay the next week.
No, they just make that for AJ Styles. Every cinematic match, he gets killed off.
He gets killed.
Like, oh my God, you killed AJ Styles, you bastard!
And then 2 more would be fighting on the at the ground level, and a guy getting thrown through a window, because window spots are fun. So seeing a guy getting thrown through a window, that would be really cool. And the next thing is at least half of the competitors bleeding. And you can get away with it without harming your wrestlers because it's cinematic. You can do fake blood. You have a way to do this without blading or something. So use the tools that you have now acquired. So yeah, those are the 4 things that I would do. The suggestions I would make for a match like this.
Okay, cool.
All right, it's the final segment of our show.
If I had one good spot, I would have a point where they're fighting. They bust through a office door, and they fall over, and you just see a guy working at his desk. It's like been pretty busy. Had to come in on getting to work, and then it's like they just stare at him. It's like, I'm just gonna head home for tonight. I can get this in the morning. And then he leaves, and they just stop fighting again.
That would be great. Also, they're not going to reference social distancing, but it'd be really funny if they did, though.
Yeah.
Especially if that guy who's working has a mask on. Just a little reference like that. He's like, never mind, I'm just going home. I don't have time for this. Yeah, so now it's time for our final segment. It is the mailbag. It's where we take questions either from you guys directly or from the other parts of the world. And there's one question that I did see that I thought was really, really cool. And it is, what is your favorite moment in the Ruthless Aggression era? That's the era where I actually started watching wrestling, so I have more nostalgia for that than any other period of wrestling. So, what are some for you, if any?
How about Eddie Guerrero winning the heavyweight championship?
That was a great one.
Yeah, it's very top moment, top tier moment.
One of the big ones for me was actually getting to see the teleportation of Undertaker live. That was really bloody cool. When my dad brought me there, but also just watching the story of Daniel, not Daniel, Brian Kendrick and Paul London, and watching them do their things in the tag team division, helping me become a huge tag team fan. So matches that they were a part of are really close to heart for me. Any others you can think of?
Just off the top of my head, really think about it, but I mean, yeah, I guess some of the stuff with Evolution, like
Batista taking on Triple H after his win at the Royal Rumble. That's a
yeah. Then Legend Killer Randy Orton, interesting stuff. So yeah, all the general stuff. I mean, the John Cena debut.
The start of the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good that came from that era. Without it, we wouldn't have gotten Mickey James or Melina or AJ Lee, basically. So, yeah. Any questions on your end?
On a scale from 1 to 10, how crazy was that match I was talking?
From just what I heard, that was a 10.
Oh, how about another ball where they had the whole? I don't know if you ever seen the sharpened stick spot, where they just take a whole thing of sticks in their hand and put it in and they just hammer it into someone's head and they just leave it there and it has just a bunch of sticks out of their forehead.
That actually happened.
Oh yeah, that spot happened too. Now it seemed like there was a point where they were going to put the hood in there, but they took that out quickly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a very crazy match. Without a doubt.
Crazy.
Might have to check it out. Yeah. What's another good one? Oh, out of all the people that got let go, how many do you think are gonna be back into wrestling really, really quick?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say really, really quick. I mean, if we didn't have the situation going on now, there'd be, I'd assume, most, if not all of them would be doing stuff. But there's more limited companies that's actually filming right now that would actually have shows and stuff. So it's really hard to tell.
Right.
But like I said, if it wasn't for this, I'm sure all of them would be in wrestling in some capacity. Here's some idea where you think some of the people are going to go / should go.
Well, I definitely think the Good Brothers should go back to New Japan.
Yeah. How about this one, Zack Ryder for Impact?
Maybe even teaming up with EC3.
As you also think EC3 is going there?
Uh,
Oh,
uh, Maybe not. He might try to go someplace new, but I can definitely see him going
no, I
back to
mean, he
where
already
he got
has.
big.
Yeah, he already has connections with them. He already, I'm sure, knows the management there and
Mm-hmm.
is friendly terms with them. Has something to really go off of. But realistically, I think if he is going to be tagging, he's going to be going with one. Uh, what's the full name? Spud,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they're of course friends in real life. They just recently shaved their heads together.
Oh wow.
Like not fully bald, but like EC3's been doing like a kind of a shaving fruit cut type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they just posted a photo like this past week of him doing that for Drake Maverick. Well, as he was formerly known, of course. Um, so yeah, so they're of course friends in real life, so it makes sense for them to kind of come together. They're gonna go back to Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Because I know Rockstar Spud was in Impact for a while.
Yeah, and another thing I was saying with Zack Ryder going to Impact is that he would have some connection through Chelsea. Chelsea Green
Right.
uh, was an Impact knockout, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So she would post know people there, and that's just to make things more comfortable. At the same time, though, I mean, Zack Ryder was probably close with, maybe Cody Rhodes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was another AEW signing.
I agree with that too. Any other ones that you can see going to Japan? Other than the Good Brothers, of course.
There's definitely opportunity for some of the people, even some of the NXT people, to go to Japan. Not only go to other places, but even pull off a Juice Robinson and go through the Young Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the people that was like in NXT but not on a weekly show can always, because they've done that with quite a few people. And they can, Juice Robinson's one, Tonga Loa is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, so I mean, there's quite a few, but they could. I could see some of them going to Japan and becoming young lions and going through the developmental program there to finish off their training, becoming wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely hope the best for all of them, 100%. But last one, Rusev. Where do you think he's gonna end up?
I think Rusev. I think Rusev's going to have a lot of mixed career, but I think he may end up. Would possibly go to AEW, but I also feel like it'd be a lot at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I feel like he can go a lot of places and be, but like going
I'm
into
gonna throw one out that might that I think sounds very reasonable. NWA.
yeah,
He definitely has that kind of old school vibe about him.
but with doing that, he could also be going through multiple ones. I could also see that him making a logical transition to to Japan in New Japan. One thing that always happened with Japan is that there have always been big fans of more posse type of people,
Mm-hmm.
bigger, muscular guys, and he can move and do a lot of the strikes. That's also very big in modern Japanese wrestling right now. So I can also see him go into Japan New Japan and actually be not go through the Young Lion situation, but maybe just actually go into it like John Moxley did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All really great choices for each one of them. Can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait for this COVID-19 crud to be over with so we can get back to a normal life and actually watch stuff together.
Other ones maybe after COVID-19, the Sarah Logan could go to like an ROH, perhaps also with Tanara Conti.
Or go to a Joshi place.
What?
I think they or Joshi place.
Yeah, those are options as well. I see that over Impact, especially for Sarah Logan, because I look at Sarah Logan being very Viking related, and then you also had Tyra Valkyrie, which name is technically Viking related. So, I mean, it may not be super sensible, but like I feel like they probably ROH probably wants to help bolster their women's division. But I mean, there's also MLW who's trying to, build up their women's division. It's a newer thing. They're trying to build it up.
Quite honestly, because her name used to be like Crazy Mary something, I can see Sarah Logan going to MLW. I think that would be really cool.
And I also see maybe Tanara will have some more problems because she doesn't necessarily have the name recognition of being on the main program and not being featured for the full length of time on NXT. It's just being more recent. But she can definitely land at one of the spots, as we talked about before, like MLW or ROH. I don't say necessarily with Impact Wrestling because I think their Knockouts division is already, I think it's already good enough. I don't know if they're, I feel like ROH and MLW are going to try to get more new people,
Yeah, they definitely need a lot more because Impact has a really good in-depth roster right now.
Yeah, they have one of the more stacked female rosters out there. So that's why I'm not also not going with these women going to Impact because I don't think Impact necessarily needs them as much. I have to downgrade them. I'm just saying because they already pretty stacked. I'd say that there's other up and coming companies that also use them. Even NWA could also be a destination for them. If you're talking about foreign heels, Tanara, she's a Brazilian.
Yeah.
Oh, wondering with that. I think her husband was. I don't know if her husband's also wrestling in WWE. I don't know because there was actually multiple Brazilian, all kind of picked up at the same time.
Oh, really?
Tanara was one of them, and there was a few others. Actually, if they were all released, that would be even more convenient for them being the NWA because you can have an entire faction of heel foreigners of Brazil.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a interesting time once this is over to see where they all go. Because they actually have so many more options than what a lot of people in the past didn't have. So, yeah. Can't wait to.
Just questioning, which ones, relish the release versus which ones will be bothered by it.
Right.
People were talking about Tanara not that long ago had some problems with WWE and even came out to one of the NXT taping a shirt that says released on it, looking like she may have actually been wanting her release to begin with to try to do other things. Like I said, it couldn't actually make sense because because she has just kind of been in the background,
Mm-hmm.
not being utilized for TV for a while.
Right.
I'm actually sure that there's a lot of people on the list that kind of feel the same about it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, can't wait to see how everything turns out, and I guess that's a really good place to end the show. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Alright, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely gonna still try to figure out a better way to stream as to what we have right now, but for now, this is what we got. If it's like this until we get back together, we'll see. But until then, thank you guys again so much for watching. Please give us all of those sexy, sexy likes.
And the unsexy ones.
Don't forget to take this video and all of our videos and share it with your friends.
And enemies.
Please comment down below and let us know what you thought of everything we talked about, especially with everything that's going on in the world today. And hit that subscribe button so that way you are a part of the Smarky family. Once you do all of that, please, please, please go and ring the notification bell because
want to get notified for when we go live for a podcast shooting with the Smarky family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every Sunday, and when we go live for live reactions to pay-per-view inside and outside WWE. And just anytime we post videos, news, information, polls, or anything like that.
Right, exactly. And yes, go to Twitter and follow me on Twitter at EastJ_STP.
Follow me on Twitter at Liam_SWA.
And have a great day. Stay safe with all this craziness. Don't be stupid. And until next time, it will be awesome.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, so I have to put it like this. I know you can't see what I'm. Well, you can see what I'm doing. I'm holding the camera and it's facing me until it's all off, so people don't see everything. Wait, no, I have to press U first. And